Good afternoon and welcome to ABC Sport. Our match of the day here in Adelaide between the Eagles and Central District. The Eagles are in top spot, the Dogs in second spot, but today's contest will decide who leads the SANFL Premiership table. Now, they have met twice this year already. In round 3, it was the Eagles by 58 points, and in the Foundation Cup on May 17, it was the Eagles again, that time by 14 points. There were 2 changes to the Eagles. Bruce Winner told us last night on ABC Sports Show that Sam Philippi wouldn't play. Romano Negri also withdrew today. No changes to the Dogs. There's light rain and difficult conditions, obviously, for both teams here today, and a little overcast. Stephen Trigg joins me in commentary, and we pick up the action before the start of the game. It's on here at Football Park. Kennedy's in there, Harada's in there, Taylor too. And they mean action here today for top spot this game. Come on, they say. If you want to do it, let's do it.
John Abbott's not the man to take on, I can tell you. Formerly of Williston, and he enjoys a street fight, let alone one out there in the middle when he's got 17 other support staff alongside of him.
Adam Richardson there. Morfitt was in it for the Eagles. So tension pretty high here at Footy Park before the start of this game. Round 12. Second place, the Eagles, or Central, I should say, against top spot, the Eagles. Your commentator is Stephen Trigg.
Troy Burton and Tim Pfeiffer to start this big game. Number 1 versus number 2. The Eagles in top spot, challenged now by Central District. And a little scrap just before the first bounce to prove that things are fair dinkum today. Stuart Totham back into the side, and so too Stephen Schwert, number 40. Rebounds in the centre. There is Nickel, can't do much with it. The umpires found a free kick. And the first one of the game will go to Stuart Totham. Sweeps at the handball, finds Hannam. Incisive handball to Nickel. Stuart Nickel has a little chance to run and then puts it to half forward. Falls into the arms, though, of the informed Brian Harada, who sits back and takes a good mark.
Yes, picked in the one of the players in the 32-man state squad, Harada. He joins McGowan and Stevens as the 3 from the Dogs. This is Hugh Reimers. He's just backward of centre wing along that eastern boundary line. He pops it up high towards half forward. Oh, in front, doing it pretty well there was Ricky McGowan. One of the biggest possession getters. Shane Tongery, open goal. It'll be a magic start for the Dogs. You beauty.
Great piece of movement by Tongery. Got himself inside of half forward, and he looks as pumped up as any of them out there at the moment. He'd be keen to do well. He's had 2 outings with the Crows, and particularly the last one, a relatively unsuccessful or fruitless outing for him. So he's come back to the Dogs today. Just a little bit of rain coming down in the background, and the first blood to the Bulldogs.
The Dogs away to a super start. They're 1 goal, and Shane Tongery seems to be in big form. He'll have to be controlled if the Eagles want to win this one. He's a dangerous player. Out of the centre goes Girdham. Slips it through half forward. Rogers there, celebrating his 100th. Hugh Reimers has got it. He slips the tackle, back to Stevens. The Dogs are into attack again, up high. Putting it down with Swartz there, the skipper. And already the Eagles' defence under a bit of pressure, Steve.
This was going to be one of those games where the ball's going to be on the ground a bit. It's been slippery in the reserves, and one suspects that ball will grease up very quickly. Thump away to the path of Hanley, who started half forward, drags it back in. Crowder looking for a free kick. Nothing forthcoming, and Andrew Pays wraps it up for a bounce inside half forward.
And as you said when you opened the commentary, a little melee before the game. Richardson was in it, so too was Morfitt, Abbott and Harada, and just a sign, I guess, of thumping chest and saying we're serious today.
This is Pays. One take isn't bad. Slips it onto the boot, but it goes over the line on the full. Central District will get another chance to thump it back into that northern end goal through Marty McKinnon. Half forward. It's now a congested half forward line. Thumped away by Nickel. Gets it back. Pays a couple of early possessions. This one's more positive. Brings it well indoors. Didn't want it to go anywhere near the line. David Green traps it well. Then gets a tumbly old punt into the full forward line. Nickel's back there. So too is Hannam. Hannam can't do anything with it. An indication of how slippery it is. And Nickel gives away a free kick for lying on the ball, and it will go to Chopper Hanley. And Nickel's in some trouble, I think, with a finger.
Yes, he's damaged that. He'll have to get it just straightened out, dislocated, and that's pretty painful. Have a look at this. How's your stomach? Zip. Yuck.
So Hanley from just 25 metres out gets the Bulldogs second. Great start for the boys from Elizabeth. They get 2 on the board before the Eagles have scored. The Eagles are yet to score. Shane Tongery back into the lineup today. Like Reimers was into the back there. This is Thorne. Nichols in there as well. Gave it to Tongery almost as if it was an intention. Reimers held it, then got the left leg away towards the head of the square. They're a big chance back there. Spears intelligently working back hard. Herrera tries a Gavin Wanganeen kick from the boundary. Can't quite do it. And they clean up through Nicky Pesh. Looks to have a bounce. I think wisely in the end decided not to because it probably wouldn't have come back. Goes to centre wing instead, only to David Green. In there late on the scene is Zilla, who'll get it back. Great piece of work from it looked like Freeborn. Stephen Zilla inside and's got Taylor. By far the most positive piece of play from the Eagles so far. Now this will test the leg of Andrew Taylor. Oh, look at that, it's a thumping long kick right up to the line. I think he's got it. Magnificent kick, Andrew. Gets his first and the Eagles are away. 2-2 the Bulldogs. The Eagles are one straight goal. 8 points the difference.
And it was a long time coming for the Eagles. In fact, 14 minutes as they trail by 14 points. A good start by the Dogs. Taylor has kicked 39 for the season. 40 now. A dangerous forward.
Nearly 15 minutes into the first quarter. And the Eagles get a bit back. 8 points the difference. It's bound to be a close game. Top spot versus second, and just one game between them. Two thoroughly defensive sides. They work it out, the Eagles, through Kluzek. They're starting to get the engine wound up now. Here's Taylor. He's coming out of the goal square a bit to find his kicks, and when he turns around, he'll have Neiman. Watch for this. Will really take some marking down there. The Eagles are back there in numbers. So too Central. They've worked back well. Diving in over the ball was Totham. Gets around with the left leg and gets it. Magnificent kick. Totham gets his first. And there's just 2 points in it. 2-2 to 2 straight goals.
And an opportunist is Totham, playing on the ball, resting at half forward with Scotty Morfitt. He's the sort of player that they need to kick 2 or 3 goals every game. He crosses the line, he works hard, and he proved just what skill he has with that lovely goal.
Never right off the Eagles. They always bounce back, as Central found in the Foundation Cup final when they were beaten by 14 points, in fact 24 points. Free kick in the middle. And we'll go to Nickel. He's playing very, very well early. Kennedy. Hannum provides the run. Pops it up to the square. Hannum's found Neiman. Great mark. Just used the body well. Sat on his opponent in Wakeland, fell back and took a good mark.
14 minutes to kick their first goal, 16 to kick 3. That's how quickly footy can change in the powerful end of the ladder.
Neiman from 15 metres out, shouldn't have any problem with this. Keeps the head down, kicks through the ball and gets the third. So for the first time in the game, the Eagles hit the front. And they take a 4-point advantage 17 minutes into the first quarter.
Welcome back to Football Park, the start of the second half and the challenge for top spot. The Dogs are 5-7, the Eagles 7-5, 10-point advantage to the Eagles. Things have dried out a little bit here at Football Park. Plenty of rain fell in the first half. And the lights are on as Taylor stands over the ball. Potter getting to his feet, and Reimer's probably the best player along with Stevens in that first quarter for the Dogs, and for the Eagles they had quite a few. Jason and Stephen Zilla did plenty. Taylor was damaging at full forward, and Rogers at half back, just super. Girdham comes out of the centre with the ball, puts it up high. Rogers, the sit, playing his 100th, doing it well today. Nickel in backup. The kick is a beauty. I don't know whether he meant it. Gave it to Pays. Quickly on to Jason Zilla. In forward they go. Neiman's up. He's checked beautifully, though, by Wakeland. The ball is loose. Neiman gives it off to Stephen Zilla. He pops it up towards goal. And he's a little offline, but they increased their lead by 1 point to 11.
Just over a minute in, and looks like Craig Cotter. And that's not Craig Potter, but Craig Cotter has come onto the ground and is picking up Andrew Pays on centre wing. The Bulldogs to the far side. Abbott gets it, was involved in a dust-up before the game. And seemed to, from where we were sitting, hold his own pretty much in that scuffle. And as you can see, plenty of dark clouds around, and our first taste of wintry football this year. Something the Farmers have been looking forward to desperately. And let's hope that just a little further north they're getting a bit of this as well. Nicol, McGowan around the body. You can see the lights shining up that glistening football, and Camporelli drops in on centre wing and takes a good mark, flat hands. Plays it on, comes to the centre of the ground, puts Morford under all sorts of pressure, thumped away. First in there was Morford again. What's happened? He's getting a free kick for over the shoulder. Left leg, plays on, Pays, Cotter first to get there, needed to keep a play on it, pushes it to the line. Also there is Ziller, that's Stephen Ziller. Cotter slides in after the ball. There's a bit of fun in all of that, but he'd love to see it go over the line, I'm sure, because this is the consequence of it not happening. Pays back into Craig Potter, who comes to the line to Craig Cotter and goes in short to number 33 and not number 26, who is Damien Arnold.
Yes, very similar names, as Arnold's kick is short and good to McKinnon. He's at half-back. He wants to go on with it well, and down the grandstand side he does. He's got Reimers, front position, stolen by Rogers, and Nicol Pesh is the sweeper at the back, and Rogers will be the kicker. He goes short, and they keep possession, this time through Jason Ziller. He's on centre wing, and playing that position and playing it pretty well. He's 22, 54 games, and a member of the South Australian team due to play Western Australia on June 21. Taylor off the ground is good footy. Abbott is caught with the ball. In hard was Abbott again. This is McGowan on the ground. Working hard is Green. McKinnon, throw calls the crowd, and the ump agrees. So, an unorthodox handball. Didn't get away with it. Yeah, didn't look too bad to me. It was a Russell Ebert style handball. If you can remember what they were like, that wasn't that long ago. Taylor's kick's a beauty, almost one-handed. Paid, Neiman, holding on.
The game's been so close and so competitive that it just doesn't need that sort of pedantic approach. It's just a contest of two bodies, one-on-one, and to give a free kick away there in front of goals, 35 metres out and dead in front. It's a fairly critical decision by the umpire.
David Neiman has kicked one in the first quarter. He's part of the big strongman brigade the Eagles have. It's a powerful lineup for the likes of this man. He's usually very accurate in front of goals. He has played in the forward lines for many years. A good goal, but I join you, Stephen. Pretty lucky to get it.
You'd have to say that with one in the second term, that's the second that they've got in front of goals like that, and they're such critical decisions because in a low-scoring day, we've only had 13 goals. We're nearly 5 minutes into the third term. They really mean a lot. The goal scorers so far, Taylor at centre-half forward has 3, Neiman has 2.
And for the Dogs, Reimers leads the way there with 2. So, 54 plays 37. The Eagles, early in the third term, establish a reasonable lead. The challenge right at the feet of the Dogs, and they need to come up strong with an answer. Here's Green out of the centre. They have no trouble getting it out of the centre, but they just have trouble getting it cleanly through half forward to a leading Richardson or the like at full forward. Good work by the Eagles to get the ball towards centre wing. Pays is there over the ball in a strong contest to Cotter. This is McKinnon. Pays again to Bias and Devine. The Eagles under pressure, but they get the left footer away. Swept from behind and made professional work of that. Didn't go for the huge jump, just made sure he took it and stole it from Jason Ziller. His kick into the forward line is pretty good. Super catch, Reimers.
Magnificent mark. That ball is very, very slippery, and the 22-year-old leapt up way over the top in amongst a couple of opponents and took one clean take at it. Excellent mark.
He'll kick from about 55 metres, and my money wouldn't be on him from here. I'd be looking short. He seems to think he's a chance. In he comes. It's not a bad leg. It's pretty close. Free kick, and it's against the Dogs. So they can't afford to be giving him away in that goal square either. And the Bias with a short kick to Pesh, dangerous but clean, as Robertson comes in late to hold up the play on. Nick Pesh, slick as you like, gives it to Hannum. They cross the play and have achieved not a lot. Taylor, they're moving it. They're challenging the Dogs to come to them. Stevens does. Dispossesses Camporelli. Good work by the wingman. Scotty Stevens, but a good player. Taylor and Gurdon clash, and there's not a lot in it. A little bit, but not a lot. Scotty Stevens now on the left boot. He puts it in high. Reimers again. Good work, Rogers against him, holding on. Same at the other end, Steve.
Same at the other end. Reimers playing beautifully, but he's just having to go too far and wide. Good pass and gets Richardson. As you said at the opening of this third term, Reimers is one of their very best players for the Bulldogs, but he's having to go too far and wide when he turns around. There's no competition at centre half forward. Tottenham's coming off for the Eagles. Rowan Thorne's coming back on, and it looks like Shane Tonga is the player that's come off for the Bulldogs. He had 2 goals, so that's something of a surprise. Maybe an injury. Richardson, 1 so far. Normally accurate. Dead eye, right through, gets his second. And what an important kick. 8-6 to 6-7. The margin into 11 points.
It was a magnificent kick, wasn't it? What a straight leg he has. Very deliberate. Head down, follow through is good, runs at his target, does all the cues, or goes through all the cues in textbook style. It's just a pity they can't get more of the footy to him.
So in true Bulldog spirit, they bounce back. 11 points, 8 and a bit minutes into the third term. It's all set up, and it has been from scratch for a wonderful game of football. McGowan. Gee, Taylor's come charging in from centre half forward every single time there's been a contest in the centre. He's thrown his considerable weight around in there. Certainly made his presence felt. Bounce down. Nickel holding on. For some reason, Arnold changed jumpers. Number 26 into number 33. Nickel kicks it out of the air. Spoil away. Working back is McKinnon. Hasn't done badly at half-back. Neither is Abbott. Comes to the close side. Cotter. This will test his ability because Andrew Page is breathing down his neck. Drags it back in and does well, the youngster. Well done. The run now is provided by Abbott in the backup. Good-looking drop punch. Stevens drops in. Needs it to come out the back. Reimers, more competition from the big man at centre-half forward. If he can get it away to Gurdon, he does. Gurdon, Roger, you need a kick for goal, and he's got it. The Bulldogs are back. Gurdon gets his first. The Bulldogs get their 7th. 8-6 to 7-7, 5 points the difference.
There were 2 very important pieces of play here. The first one was Stevens, who just had to do so much work to bring the ball to ground when the ball came in from Abbott. The run was good from Abbott, but watch Stevens. He does a lot of work to get up high against Rogers. Then watch Reimers. To get it to Gurdon is absolutely brilliant. Does it well. Gurdon didn't let him down.
What a game. Number 1 versus number 2, and it has every characteristic of a grand final outing, even early in round 12. 8-6 to 7-7, just 5 points. Good mark taken at half forward. Now, if I can predict something, albeit not very boldly, as Payes gets it away, good mark taken by Thorne. The prediction is that the Eagles will lift their work rate. They always do when they're challenged, and Central District need to find something extra. Here it is, as Morfitt takes it inside of half forward, well within scoring range, albeit with a sore leg.
He's been in and out of this game today. He was best on ground last time they met in round 3 and kicked 3 goals. And if he can do anything very well indeed, he can kick goals, can Scotty Morfitt.
99 goals for the season, just 2 years ago, so he knows where to find them. This one shouldn't pose a problem. The umpire goes straight over his head. Predictable, isn't it? Whenever the challenge, the heavyweight comes back. Just under 11 minutes into the third term, and they make the break to 11 points again.
So the Eagles, they trailed by 6 points in the first quarter, 10 at half-time. And as Stephen said, whenever challenged, the Eagles just seem to be able to come up with something. Thorne threw this ball in. And if you have a look at Morfitt, he makes good position, uses his body well, and his execution for goal is normally impeccable, and he's always a dangerous player. He's credited with having a very good defender and David Green on him.
They've done all the hard work, Central District, in the early stages of this third term. Now they need to bounce back. 11 points in it. They got it to within 5 just a moment ago, and here comes the Eagles' onslaught. They've shoved it up into top gear. Inside half forward, Nickel leads in the race for the ball. He's having a spell at full forward. Windsor runs it to the line. The Eagles crowd call for a deliberate, but that would be, to say the least, very, very tough.
Yes, and indeed it is. The Eagles by 11 points. They're in top spot on the SANFL table. They're 7-2. The Dogs are in second spot, 6-3. The winner will be top of the SANFL ladder. As we've said, they've met twice. Round 3, 58 points to the Eagles. Round in the Foundation Cup. Camporelli, goal! They're on their way to their third victory. That's his first. In the Foundation Cup, they won by 14 points.
Central District loomed large. They had the run, and against the momentum, the Eagles have taken back the initiative. He enjoyed that, didn't he, young Camporelli? It was a good snap from the big pack of players. And in game number 3 for him, gets through his first.
So 49-66. Really, again, every time they get close, the Eagles just step on the pedal and do the hard work. Taylor, well up the ground, playing at centre-half forward again. Swert had a lot of touches today. Pesh the same, caught McGowan. In a chance now, Hannam caught McKinnon. Swert loosened, slippery ball. Beautifully intercepted by Pesh. He's streamed forward over half forward for the Eagles. The back is Nickel. Can't take it. Well done, Ray Windsor. Wakeland's there as well. Alongside him, Kluzak. He'll take it to the line, I would suspect, if Kluzak can't keep it in. He's dispossessed. Morford, clever to Nickel. Over the top, inside, Camporelli again. He needs a bounce. Stephen Ziller. Goal! Great footy, the Eagles. They extend their lead just when they have to.
Oh, don't they just? Ominous signs from a side that dropped 2 games just a couple of weeks ago. They are back with a vengeance, and the ominous sign is that who's going to beat them at the moment? Whenever they're challenged, they just put the foot on the pedal and they find another gear. Crank it up a notch and away they go. Zilla, Camporelli have just nailed Central District in the last few moments.
So the Dogs, they got within 5 points. Now the Eagles lead by 23 points. And they've done all that in a matter of about 5 minutes. Powerful forward line, good running players, solid defence, and plenty of tall players. And mixed with some youth and plenty of experience. All in all, your money would have to be with the Eagles today and at the end of the season in the serious end of the year. Taylor just being a bit of a menace to everyone at the moment, Taylor, isn't he?
They would have played together at the Brisbane Bears, Taylor and Craig Potter, I'm sure, in the recent past. So it's just a renewal of some old acquaintances. The umpires picked out a free kick. Eagles fans, there are plenty of them here, applaud it. Thought Taylor was going to get it, but it's been handed off to Devine. Plays on. There's a bit of spirit here. Central needed a couple of moments ago. McGowan fairly quiet in the third term, gets it away to the run of McKinnon. He's got a couple of options. Watch for the pick-off. Girdham came from 50 to try and shepherd off Zilla. Couldn't hit him. Down to half forward it goes. Reimers. Off of the ground is intelligent at this time. Congress re-entered the arena. One clean take. That's special. Around the body. What's happened? All the players stopped down there. It was unbelievable. Robertson leads in the race for the ball. He's got one spare in Schwert. First there is Richardson. Oh, gee. Communication poor. The Eagles should have made more of that. It comes to Reimers. He's got Stevens. Now, if he plays on, he's got no one in the goal square. Comes right across and has the captain in Roger Girdham inside of 45.
Well, if the Dogs have had a weakness, it's been that when they get it inside their 15-metre line and their forward line, they can't do much with it. Tongaree's kick across the goal. Good take by Girdham, was good, but it's caught everyone by surprise. And they just haven't been good enough in their conversions.
Now, he will know that he has a lot of responsibility here and needs a goal. It slides off the inside of the boot. Desperately upset with that.
Steve, this is almost similar to the Foundation Cup where, you know, without being heavily critical of players, the Swerts and company missed goals when they most needed them. And, I mean, he has played a lot of games, Girdham, and that goal, even with a wet ball, just has to be kicked.
Central District have done remarkably well this season. But it's just the difference, isn't it, as you're saying or implying, between winning top games and being competitive. Stephen Schwartz so far has 4 points to his credit and 1 out in the full. This is Jason Ziller. Round the body, just keeps it in play. They look to run it towards the line, does Peter Schwartz, but keeps in, took one very high. That was a heavy knock. The umpire said play on, and it's on behind the players. David ran into Schwartz, having a few fisticuffs back there. Play on, Cotter, Potter, Schwartz. The work rate in this game's elevated again. Back to Cotter. And into the centre of the ground towards Gurdam.
Roger Gurdam now with an opportunity to go forward. He chooses to play the ball on through Tonga. He's put the left footer on his wrong leg. Not sensible football. Better off to kicked it himself. Cotter, get it in, lad, and get it in long. Up towards half forward. And that's what you do when you mess around with a footy up the ground. You just splash your forwards and finally give the advantage back to the opposition as Pesh runs through a line, and over half forward Taylor is spoiled by Hereda in good play. Windsor against Nickel. Nickel now leads in the race for the ball. Windsor takes him over and gets it off the ground. Wet and slippery. Stevens has Arnold, goes inside to Wakeland. Clever little chip, and he finds Windsor on the far side. Now they've got the run again. This is where they get let down. Neiman dropping back, doing it well. Tonga caught. Great tackle on him by Freeborn. Rogers sensibly, he'll go towards the line. Gets it underground to Neiman. Good football, the Eagles. Intercepted by Windsor. He's right up from full back. McGowan's in there, the big possession getter for the Dogs. A good smother by Camporelli. Morford's in there, the bodies clash. Cook goes to ground. Gurdon wants it. Pretty tough, McKinnon loses the footy. Pesh is there. McGowan again. Pesh forward, over half forward. The Eagles now. A chance for Nickel. Good work by Potter to get back. He's over the top of the footy. He's challenged by Kluzek. Gets it inside Arnold. Can they keep going now? The Dogs. Green gets it over half forward. Take over before I lose my voice, Steve.
Magnificent piece of play, wasn't it? Now they're a chance, the Bulldogs. Wonderful piece of play. Tough committed from both sides. The kick was astray. Kennedy cleans it up and comes to the close side of the ground. Here's a battle. One-on-one. Camporelli and Stevens, two very, very exciting players. Stevens wins front position. He knows that that's the front to get access to the ball, and he wins the free kick. Well, I think that either wanted to shape up there, but they knew that they were under the spotlight.
Used his experience, Stevens. Smart.
Must be a bit cool without the follicles there, producing much hair. Comes thump to the line. He's obviously producing a fair bit of body heat at the moment, Scotty Stevens, as his work rate has been tremendous all day.
He's a sensational player, Stevens. I say it every week, but part of the state squad and a super effort last year in Perth, and deserves to be in again this year. 19
minutes into the third term. One suspects that Central District have just whipped their work rate a bit to try and get it back. A little clumsy from Arnold, fell into the back of Neiman, who takes a kick from half-back, puts it to centre wing. Taylor's covered some ground, and Hereda pushes it out. 11-6 to 7-8, 22 points the difference.
Taylor playing a different role today. In the Eagles bench, you can see Bruce Winter, pretty relaxed. He's the Eagles coach in the foreground there, sitting next to his runner. But I was about to say that Taylor in picture now playing a different role today, and a bit more physical and irritating others, a bit like Kevin Jeter used to many years ago. Get stuck into them and get them upset. Green, Tonga and Cook are there, trying to win it for the Dogs. Beautifully done by, that looks like Hannum. Oh!
They've played again, and often the catch cries, if they're consistent, it doesn't matter, but they dragged it back in. They've been playing it all day.
That's right. I don't think you can be critical of the umpire on that occasion when they played it against the Dogs in the Eagles goal square as Page relieves the pressure from half-back. A charge, beautifully done. Kluzak, he runs into the open goal. He's got Nickel. He might not need him. He doesn't. Oh, great piece of football by the Eagles. His first, Kluzak. Beautiful piece of running and a lovely straight leg.
He's an absolutely class act, Matthew Kluzak. Fatal mistake from Wakeland. Watch that. Just let him get it behind him now. He waded up very quickly from 60 metres out, Kluzak. The kick was just 50, but well measured. I remember watching him as a St Michael's junior in the first 18, and he was quite a sensation. He's developed just as everyone would have expected. The problem now for Bruce Winter is keeping him in a green, gold and blue jumper, because he's bound for the AFL, no doubt about that.
The Eagles have opened up a 5-goal margin. It's 28 points. They need 5 to hit the lead. We're 20 minutes into the third quarter, and the Dogs are in a bit of trouble here at Footy Park. Raider goes through strongly. Swert gets it quickly over to McGowan, whose kick is good, in towards Gurdon, in front. Tongery breaks through. He needs a goal as he charges in, reminiscent of the first quarter, but he's offline. And talking about goals that need to be kicked, Cluzak kicks it at the other end. Tongery misses at the Dogs' end.
Critical misses, aren't they? Just so critical. One from Tongery, one from Gurdon earlier. They need every entry that they get converted. Up over the top went Rogers, and he's given it away. Now be quick, Scotty, and you've got a chance. Richardson, awful kick, set him up. Kennedy puts the thump in. Gurdon's there. Here's another chance, Roger. Round the body, not quite. Through for one behind, so his second behind for the term. 78 to 52. 26 points the difference. 12-6 to 7-9. We're 22 minutes into the third term.
And they trail by 26 points, having only 2 less shots at goal. And therein lies a story, which I really don't have to explain, as Kennedy kicks in towards half-back. Neiman up in front. Nearly a good catch. He probably would have paid it in this weather. Stephen Ziller pops it high on his boot. In the middle is Thorne in the back of McKinnon, the left footer. And he switches the play. Craig Cotter with an opportunity now as he streams down this grandstand wing. It's a bad kick, isn't it, really, to half forward. Morfitt's there, he mops up very easily. Jason Ziller back to Morfitt off the ground as he saw McGowan coming in, or Cotter coming in. This is Cotter. Quick handball to McKinnon. They've got great run through the centre and off half-back. Hanley now, one of their many left-footers. The kick is good, and it finds Richardson, who we saw a goal on this angle at the end of the second term.
It's a very accurate kick for goal. It's Adam Richardson, but gee, the Dogs have had to work hard for that to get it through into their full forward line. Reimers is playing well, but they just need a little more. They need Tongery and they need Robertson and those types to snaffle some off of the ground.
He has 2 goals, an important kick for the youngster, and we ride it with him to the left of where he really wanted it to be, maybe trying for a bit of distance on with a heavy ball. The Dogs are 7-11-53, the Eagles are 12-6-78. 25-point margin, and we're a minute and a half from time on.
Kennedy again looks to the far side, obviously sees some advantage in that. One of the advantages is that David Neiman's there. The bulky David Neiman at half-back. 101 games. And whilst he struggled early in his career, he is one of the most influential players in the competition. And speaking of that type, here's Andrew Rogers. Game number 100 for him today. Congratulations to him. He's had a wonderful career. Geelong, Essendon, now back here in Adelaide. Cotter into the back. The umpire said no. Tongery. Incisive handball to Cotter, just wasn't quite accurate enough. Thorne, quick kick away. Under pressure now, Abbott. Competition is good from Ziller, so too from Morfitt. Throwing himself at the ball is Potter. I like the way he plays backward of the ball and manufactures much of it. But for the Bulldogs, Herrera gets it to the far side. Gurdon can't control it, and it goes over. 25 points the difference, 12-6 to 7-11. 30 seconds from time on, and you'd have to say that the difference between these jumpers, despite a couple of amendments made by the Eagles, watching it live doesn't make it easy to pick them out.
No, they're very similar, these 2 jumpers. They've been an issue discussed by both clubs. There hasn't really been enough change to delineate between the 2. If there was a muddy day, it'd be very, very difficult indeed. Ball out of bounds, half forward for the Eagles.
That's a good point. If it was a muddy day, it would be very near impossible. And the amendments that they've made are yellow numbers and a little yellow sash at the bottom if the jumpers come out, but it doesn't help our cameramen because they see it in black and white, so it's hard for them to pick up. Here's Jason Ziller. Stephen it was, gets it to Thorne around the body, sitting back doing well as Wakeland.
Yes, and back of the pack, he's a bit lucky then that the ball didn't fall short. He should have been maybe in front. Thorne did it brilliantly again. Got it, one-on-one, he won, gave it to Taylor, and that's why the Eagles are top.
Great piece of work, wasn't it? Second effort, the recovery, all the little things, the basics in the game of football were there. The easiest part in the end was the kick to a free player.
Taylor now. Shouldn't have any trouble, but does. Wakeland was behind. Wakeland was behind in the square there. I criticised him for that because the ball could have easily fallen short. And again, Taylor loose, you know, metres by himself, not picked up, not good enough.
And in terms of a technique, Cotter needed to get his body behind the ball. He didn't do that. Stevens there keeps a play on it, and Jason Ziller sees it to the line. Remains at 12-7 to 7-11, 26 points the difference, and we're 26 minutes into the third term. Stuart Nicol has worked very hard. David Neam's given him a rest. Big Scott Norton's come onto the ground to give Arnold a breather. Stephen Schwert a little quieter in this term. And whilst he and Girdham have worked very hard, they've been outpointed, I would suspect, by their Eagles counterparts, engineering much good work for their side.
Morfitt and Tottenham. And Troy Burton and Tim Pfeiffer are the umpires today. And of their job, we say pretty well done. Been technical, but it's been consistent. And I think that's really the point in a game like this where there's so much at stake. I'll always get their criticism, but slippery ball, hard work. Stephen Schwert picking up many kicks for the Dogs, as he always does. Crows player as well. Morfitt now, round the body. Oh, good work, a Raider against Nicol. Off the play, Tongery. He won't keep it in if he's playing percentages. So, out of bounds. The Eagles have only lost 2 games this year. That was to West in round 9 by 30 points and to South in round 10 by 32. In between that, they beat the Dogs in the Foundation Cup, May 17 by 14 points. Otherwise, successive losses. They had a bye in between there as well. Thorn goes to ground. The Dogs have lost 3. Port round 1 by 44. The Eagles round 3, 58. And North Adelaide in round 8. They got hammered at Port Pirie by 86 points.
Could be that their winning streak is coming to an end, though. They lost only 1 game in the entire first series, or since they've last played the Eagles. Taylor, snapshot at goals, is astray and out of bounds on the full.
And they've had a spectacular winning margin of over 75 points in the last 6 or 7 weeks.
It's an average winning margin of 75 points, and that contributes or constitutes a couple of games where they've had margins over 100 points, so they've got that killer instinct. Just at the moment, they're getting a killed instinct because the Eagles have just a little too much for them. Well done by David Green, weaves his way through the pack and then picks out Norton well. Half back, wet ball. The rain continues to drizzle down here. Girdham takes front spot, perhaps could have got a free kick for that. Didn't. Reimers has claimed, and what's happened? He's gone for holding the ball. Things not quite going for the Dogs at the moment as Hannam gets it, pushes it back towards half forward. Steve Ziller couldn't take it. Norton does. This is his 3rd league club, having spent some time at West Torrens and North Adelaide. Cook around the body. He's had a quiet game. Stevens, here we go. Act 2. This time Camporelli wins it, when Stevens won it just a moment ago on centre wing in the one-on-one contest. And an illustration of how wet and slippery the ball is. Abbott brings Morfitt to ground and gives away the free kick.
Yes, so Scotty Morfitt legged at half forward, and the free kick, he puts it in long and high underneath it. Potter, Tongery interfering with Kluzak, and a free kick. So making some silly errors now. Hard to see where that was as the siren goes to end the third quarter. Let's have another look at that. Watch Tongery, comes in from left of screen. He's holding on to the jumper, well seen by the umpire. 20 metres out. Kluzak, he's kicked his 2nd, and the Eagles, big quarter for them. They dominated the final 15 minutes. And at 3/4 time in the battle between the Dogs and the Eagles, it's 7-11, Central 53. They trail the Eagles 13-7-85. All the action on ABC Sport. Very good job by Reimers today. Centre half forward in difficult conditions. Girdham gets through the pack and puts it up high, but it's forced over the line. If you were looking, as Alan Stewart would, at the Dogs critically, you'd be saying they've only got to really work on a couple of things to be a side capable of beating the Eagles, and one of them certainly is when they go into their forward line, having themselves a bit better organised so they can make something of these sorts of plays rather than just kicking and hoping. And a lot of that's the basics. The other is just some disciplined errors in their defence. where they've made some classic errors, and the Eagles have made the most of it, scored. But Hanley now, he's about 50 metres out. Looking for a lead, there's nothing coming. Short, and don't know who that was towards, but Richardson's the player that ended up with it. Norton, Windsor, Freeborn's got him, and this is really what I was talking about earlier. They've made terribly hard work out of a pretty straightforward play. They've got a free kick and Luxor Fortune.
Stephen Schwert just caught one too high. Camperelli wants to argue the point standing on the mark in game number 3. He's had a few decent touches, but just watch this. Schwert got it, and Camperelli attacked him too high. The umpire was quick to call it. Very decisive. And Stephen Schwert, who has 4 behinds to his credit so far, desperately needs to get this one. Nearly 3 minutes in to the last term, fires it away and gets his first. So they're not without a chance, the Bulldogs. They get their 8th on the board, 13-7 to 8-12.
So finally, after having possession, the kick in from Hanley was a terrible one to I think Richardson on a lead. They worked hard at getting back to the ball. Schwert finally got a free kick and managed to convert it. But otherwise, very, very awkward and unorthodox play in their forward line most of the day, and one of the most important reasons why they're behind.
Fairly even spread of goal kickers. 2 to each to Reimers and Richardson. And Taylor at centre-half forward has 3.
Yes, he does, and Cluzak 2. The Dogs are 8-12. Eagles are 13-7, 25-point margin as the Eagles go forward again. In the way is McKinnon and Abbott. Loose ball, chance for Wakeland. Just walks through that pack and did it well. McKinnon gets it on to Norton, and he goes wide. This player is Cotter. A loose player, Green, or Girdham it is. In fact, his kick again. Just misplaced. And Paul read that beautifully. His left foot kick towards Tobias. Camperelli. That's Camperelli. Tobias was the player that knocked it to him. Oh, brilliantly done. Morfitt now. The players just loose everywhere for the Eagles down this flank, and that isn't good enough. Cold play on, puts it in high. Taylor from behind, easy. Easy as you like.
Quite right. They had 1 spare all the way down the ground. And the kick into Taylor was well measured. John Abbott was always going to have a hard time with it, sitting underneath that. Gave away several centimetres. Taylor had the jump, has 3, now a chance for his 4th.
Yes, Taylor from about 30 metres. Playing at centre-half forward or full forward today, has kicked his 4th and played a menacing role. He's upset a few of the Eagles' central players from time to time today, and he's thoroughly enjoyed his outing at Footy Park.
Started at full forward, did Taylor, and when they had trouble getting the ball through half forward very early in the game, he was shifted to centre-half forward. Neiman dropped into full forward while Nicol assumed the rucking responsibility. Sam Philippo, of course, dropped out before the game. So they were 1 short through there. Taylor's done the job just as he did last week against the Tigers.
60 plays 91, 31 points the Eagles lead by, and they've done it pretty well here at Footy Park today. The game's not over, but they'll get my money the way they're playing. Pesh and Freeborn combined. Jason Ziller playing from a wing. Gets it forward, loose ball. Cotter goes backwards to find Herrera, and his short pass is a beauty. Windsor now, or McGowan I should say, on the left boot. Towards half forward, Reimers and Rogers go towards it together. Caught with it, Cook. Reimers a chance here. He's been superb at half forward. Goes off the ground, checked by Nicol, loses it. Now Cook again, and Reimers, he gets his feet quickly. His kick's not a good one. Swar's in the way, Nicol's there as well, and they combine beautifully with Ziller to get themselves out of trouble. Pesh was behind him, needs to be in front. Tongari holding the man surely. Not so, says the umpire. Camperelli, but Stevens there as well. Cook, Pesh, well shepherded by Stephen Ziller, and a high kick pays underneath it, and Cotter. Herrera, there's a free kick, and it's going the way of the Dogs.
Well, it should have been play on. The free kick was given. When the advantage went straight to a central player, it should have been called, but Herrera's going to have to take it, and by now all of the Eagles players who need to do a defensive job have got back on their opponents. Rogers up over the top. Have to admire the work that Reimers has done. Little flick pass at the back. Here he is. Pops it up towards the goal square, but he can't get back far enough, and it goes out of bounds on the full. 14-7 to 8-12. 31 points the difference. It's not beyond them, the Dogs. But they're going to need to rattle on a couple of very quick ones as Mark Kennedy brings it back in on the far side.
22 years of age and the left footer. A chance now for McGowan. He goes inside. Jason Zillo there as well. He takes on Cotter. Cotter wins out on this occasion, but they seem to always just get the numbers there, don't they, the Eagles? They work they work on the basis of outnumbering their opponents at the fall of the footy, and they're all prepared to do the hard work. And that's half the battle when you're asking something of your team, to know that when you tell them to outnumber the people at the fall of the ball, people will actually do that. They run their 20 and 40 and 50 metres to get there and help. The chance now for Potter to get it over to Green. He's caught. Pressure on Swert was enormous. He took one high for no free kick. Nichols' kick is a sloppy one and goes straight to Cotter. He's backward of the 50 and puts it up high. He's got Windsor or Richardson. But Nickel takes it easily, and isn't that the story of the day?
Played very well, Stewie Nickel. Camporelli in a back pocket. Looks for some space, running with the flight of the ball was DeBias, couldn't take it. The classy Kluzek around the corner. Not quite this time. Big attack on the ball, and indeed the body by Potter. Come charging through did John Abbott, and Roger, you've gone for holding the ball. This time the umpire calls play on. Morfitt with vision had Pesh or Kluzek, decides to use the first of them. Pesh has a look at the goals and hits the post. Would have just about nailed Central District, but they get another lease of life.
So let's hope that the Dogs keep up their work rate and really challenge the Eagles, because they're quite clearly the second best team in this competition. They trail by 30 points at the moment. But if they want to challenge the Eagles in a final, they've got to leave them with some memories of today. And one of them should be that we'll never give up. We'll keep attacking your body, and we'll make life very, very hard for you, regardless of what the score is. McGowan on his left boot. The kick is beautifully put to find Cotter. He's got some people in front of him, stalls and kicks high. Richardson on a lead and takes it. So a bit of confusion by the Eagles in their defence allows Richardson to take a pretty easy chest mark 30 metres out from goal. He hasn't been too bad today. He's had limited opportunities. Has 2 goals. And I would back him from here. 30 metres out. He's a very, very correct player technically. There's the 50, so about 40 metres. Lift his head a little bit and misses on this occasion. And when I said he lifts his head a little bit, it's very important to keep your head down, watch your boot, strike the ball. Maybe just a little anxious to see the result.
Kennedy brings it back into Camporelli. Well done in terms of the competition there by Girdham. Camporelli runs it to the line, but still keeps it in. Not a bad piece of play, was it? Beat Stevens, beat Cook. Now hands off to Thorne. Wonderful piece of play. He can't quite finish it off. Central are there in numbers. Out the back it goes to Tongery, who's been a little enigmatic during this game. Thorne from the ground to Schwarz. Good-looking piece of work to Kluzek, who is the further this game's gone, the better he's become. Good-looking kick. Gives Ziller every good chance. Front spot, though, assumed by Abbott, goes out the back towards the line and runs it over. 14-8 to 8-13. 31 points the difference it remains.
Only one more shot at goal, the Eagles.
As the game's unfolded, they've just eked out a slightly larger lead. 6 points at quarter time, 10 points at half-time. Then, of course, they broke away to make it 32 points at three-quarter time, when the Bulldogs got within 5 points 14 minutes into the third term. We're 11 minutes into the last. It's dark and it's fairly cold, and the Eagles bench at the moment reasonably satisfied with proceedings as it comes into McGowan.
So Stewie Totham on the bench, and I wonder whether he's injured, because his form wasn't too bad when he was out there. He might be carrying something. Stevens, this is on the left boot, puts it out in front of Cotter. Don't they love to go wide, the Dogs? Maybe that's in part an element of their problem. Now that should be holding the ball. It is part of their problem. They just love to go wide, and with the Rhymers at centre-half forward doing so well, that confuses me a little bit. Holding the ball, pays short, and has Rogers. Arnold back on the ground. Norton off for the Dogs. 100th game today, and enjoyed 75 with Geelong and up for Essendon as the Dogs run it away through half-back over centre wing, and Cotter takes the ball. What he's waiting for, an invitation to play on maybe. Too slow. He gets the ball on now through half-forward, in front, and taking it beautifully was Handley. Been in and out of this game too. So Reimers is up there, Richardson on a lead. Handley's waiting for somebody. Richardson now, this is Reimers. The kick is beautifully put. And that's not a bad piece of play by the Dogs.
Played well early, Handley, and then he dropped out of the game. Reimers has continued in his 62nd game to be a focal point. He's really provided good competition through half-forward. If the Dogs are going to have a chance, they really need to put this one through. It slides the side of the boot. He has two so far. That one's not even within a bull's roar. Taken away by Rogers, it would seem, to Camporelli. Not a lot of competition from Central District down there that time. Inboard, competition from Girdham. They clean it up with Freeborn, Tobias, the run of Thorne. The overlap is very, very good, but they break down at half-forward this time as Abbott takes it, gives up the run of Hereda. There are a few Dogs off their leash now. Schwertz, one of them. Wheels around, then comes inside. He's put a few players off the line, though. In he comes and finds a player in Windsor. He's gone from defence and looks to be having a stint out of a forward pocket. But I was going to suggest a little earlier that in the absence of Simon Lewis, they're just really missing one up the front.
They are. And Ingerson.
And Ingerson, who, of course, is playing for the Crows. Richardson has a look and gets it. Windsor, it was, of course, gets his first. So 14-9 to 8-13, and the Bulldogs 9-13, a half a chance.
Yeah, a more direct piece of play by the Dogs. Swert bringing the ball back and centering it more quickly than they have been. I've been critical of them going a little wide. So Ray Windsor from defence to the forward line and having some influence.
14-9 to 9-13. 14 minutes into the last term. If the Eagles can get another one, will stop the momentum. Conversely, if the Bulldogs get a couple of quick ones, they're a chance. Windsor in and around the ball. ABC Sport bringing you this round 12 clash between numbers 1 and 2 on the premiership table. Camporelli gets it forward. Zilla, that's Jason. Gets it off to the run of Pays, who has dumped, but still gets the kick away fortuitously. It falls into the arms of Neiman. He shows the advantage of playing in front position.
Big man, and we've got a
seagull inside the headsets.
Neiman from about 40 metres. You just about have to back him in for this.
David Neiman had a stint at full forward through the earlier part of the game. Has a look at them for his third. No problem at all, David. Right through. Gets his third at the 15-minute mark of the third term. And the Eagles will just keep the Bulldogs at arm's length. 15-9 to 9-13.
Yeah, so Neiman, his strength and height contributing to his 3 goals up there today. He's been a good player. Jason Zilla, the 2 wingmen, Pays the other side. And Wakeland not happy with that.
Back out to 32 points the difference. 15-9 to 9-13. The Eagles just doing enough. They dropped a couple of games, of course, to West and South a fortnight ago, but they look so strong today. Bulldogs play a similar style of game, but when they were challenged, the Eagles just put it into overdrive and ran away with it. Here's McKinnon at half-forward. That's called running yourself into trouble and holding the ball. Caught dead. Half-back. They bring it away with Pesh. The run of Camporelli is having a fair stoush at the moment with Stephen on centre wing. They've enjoyed their battle in the last half.
And without being overcritical, the only reason you'd want to run around a player at half-forward is if you could kick the goal, because there's no merit in running around a player. I mean, if you're either going to kick it short to a leading player or long to a player in the square. If you can't kick the goal, there's no point in running around the player. Jason Zilla's kick is high. Taylor's in there, one-on-one. He's still on his feet. Chance for Kluzak. There's a little bit of a discussion about it. They found that pretty amusing between the two of them. Unable to score. Taylor looking to get it off the ground, couldn't. Kluzak does. Maybe soccer's not his game.
Hungary, Girdham. And they're a chance now with McGowan. The handball was a little quick, poorly taken. The kick, conversely, is out of bounds, but not on the full, just bounced on the line.
Don't let up the pressure, the Eagles, do they? They're still, as I said earlier, they're still at the body with the numbers.
Let's have another look at that kick. It's very, very close, and looked to be over, didn't it? Nonetheless, Stephen Ziller to Peter Schwartz. They've got spare one in Rowan Thorne. Good take with a slippery ball. Centre wing, he's being called to play on. Chips it short, watch for Taylor, runs onto the ball. Looked to take it in the hands, and in the end was rewarded for it. Plays it on. Now they're making this ball look like it's dead dry. Well done, short pass. And Tobias has got it right on the 50-metre line. He'll also play on. Goes back to Taylor. Well taken this time by Herrera, who comes charging through like a train. McGowan gets it, goes to centre-half forward. His kick's ill-directed. Stuart Nicol takes a good mark in the hands.
Can't count the number of times that they have been offline going into their forward line, particularly when they've got such a good player in Reimers at half forward. This is Devine. The left footer plays on quickly. He wants Kluzak. He's got him on a lead. Hungary late to the scene. He's at half forward, Kluzak. Chip is short, and the loose player is Pesh, all by himself, 40 metres out from goal. And no goals yet, Pesh. And I would want his best leg from here. He'll kick right on 50, I'd imagine. And he comes. Not a bad kick, is it? I think he's done it too. Beautiful kick. His first goal. And that, if it wasn't sealed, absolutely seals it for the Eagles. Yes, that just about sealed things for the Eagles. The Dogs, they started reasonably well, only trailed by 6 points at the quarter-time break, but slowly the Eagles eked it out. 16-12, 108. They defeated the Dogs 9-17-71, a margin of 37 points to retain their top position on the SANFL ladder. The goal scorers from the game, Taylor and Neiman led the way for the Eagles, and for Central, Reimers and Richardson. Reimers at centre-half forward, a great game. After the game, our Stephen Trigg caught up with Eagles chief Bruce Winter.
The margin wouldn't indicate the quality of the game, would it? Because it was a very good quality game.
Yes, it was. I mean, in those conditions, it was always going to be a bit of a slog, and there was nothing in it till half-time. And then, again, similar to the first time we played Centrals, we got on top for about 20 minutes and kicked away.
And given that it was wet, the first wet outing for the year, you'd have to be pleased with the way the boys handled the slippery conditions.
Well, I reckon the blokes from both sides handled the conditions pretty well. You know, the first take was pretty good. A lot of the reflex handball inside was pretty good, and some of the delivery into the forward lines from both sides was pretty good.
It was tough, as you say. It was close in the clinches, but the ability to get the boys' front spot was always very useful, wasn't it, on a day like this?
Oh, certainly. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the conditions are. You've got to work to the front position, and it becomes more imperative in these conditions that you go front spot, because the ball tends to drop short. If you make front position, you've got more chance of getting control of the football. And
Romano Negri dropped out before the game?
He dropped out on Wednesday night almost. He's got an Achilles strain. And then Sam Filippo, he didn't pass fit on Friday night, so he dropped out as well.
And the flexibility on show again, it's handy, isn't it, to be able to put someone like Andrew Taylor and his competitiveness at centre-half forward really worked well.
Well, this time last year we tried to develop a bit of flexibility in our side. I think it's important that you do that. I'd hate to go into the finals where you're playing in a particular position and not doing all that well, and you've got no options. So certainly through this mid-period, that's what we'll be doing. Players like Matthew Kluzak, we're playing half-back and half-forward. Mark Kennedy played centre forward, half-back, flank, full-back. I think it's important before you get into the finals that you've got all those alternatives available to you, so if things do go wrong, you've got the confidence to change them straight away.
Certainly plenty of alternatives. You're 2 games clear at the top. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Stephen.
Well, a happy man, Bruce Winter, after his big win here against the Dogs at Footy Park today. There were 3 other games to complete round 12 here in Adelaide today, the first of which was played at Adelaide Oval. South up 11-14-80, defeated the Tigers 10-8-68, a margin of 12 points. A happy Ken Shelton, no doubt. And a happy Neil Craig too at Alton Oval. Nord 17-11, 113. Defeated Port 11-5-71, a margin of 42. And the final game at Richmond Oval, North 13-7, 85. Defeated West 11-16-82, a margin of 3 points. Well, that's all we have for you today. Please join me next Saturday night for our special time, ABC Footy Show at 6:30. Thanks for your company. Good night.
The Eagles' domination of Central District continued today at Football Park. The reigning premiers maintained top spot, defeating Central by 37 points, their 10th straight win over the Bulldogs. At Alberton Oval, Norwood pulled off a remarkable victory over an out-of-sorts Port Adelaide. At the Adelaide Oval, South Adelaide's good form continued, winning against Glenelg, and in a thriller at Richmond, North Adelaide by 3 points over West Adelaide. Here are highlights from a gloomy Football Park. There was plenty at stake in the Central Eagles clash, evident even before the ball was bounced.
He enjoys a street fight, let alone...
Conditions were wet and bleak at Football Park today, but the skill level was surprisingly high.
Gurdon works hard, chips it back in towards half forward. Oh, back of the pack, Swan!
Although the damp turf did play havoc at times.
Smash. Smith leg away towards half forward and
Andrew Taylor was proving troublesome for the Eagles and helped the reigning premiers to a 10-point lead at half-time.
Oh, how did he get so much space by himself?
The Eagles dominated the third term, kicking 6 goals to 2. Zilla and Kluzak setting things going.
Kluzak, he runs into the open goal. He's got Nickel. He might not need him. He doesn't. Oh, great piece of football by the Eagles.
As the final term began, Central District trailed by 32 points, but did offer some resistance. However, that was quickly snuffed out, the Eagles proving conclusively they're again the side to beat in 1994.
Look at them for his third, no problem at all.